Welcome to the Abrams Dicta YouTube channel. Subscribe today and join me, David Abrams, as I explore the world on my Italian scooter and talk about life, law, art, and any other subject that catches my interest. Also, please check out my blog at abramsdicta.com. Although I'm a licensed attorney, nothing here should be taken as legal advice or counsel. If you're looking to contact me professionally, please go to my website, www.dhabramslaw.com. Welcome back to another episode of Abrams Dicta, and we're just finishing up lunch, and I had a great lunch at a place here in Tallahassee called the Chicken Salad Chick that I really like, and I'm on my way back to my office in downtown riding the scooter. And I thought today I would talk to you about juvenile delinquency and this idea of charging children as adults. I saw a newspaper clipping a couple days ago about these three young girls who got in a bathroom fight, and one of the girls who had a pre-existing heart condition died in this bathroom fight. They were teenage girls. I guess they were in a high school somewhere up north. I want to say it was Virginia or something. But anyhow, the girl who was the primary girl in the fight, she's been charged as an adult and now is facing an adult murder charge coming out of a schoolyard fight. And I don't know how I feel about that. Any act that takes a human life is absolutely serious. It's absolutely serious. And if the law doesn't protect human life, then really, what good is it? Right? That's something that is not really debatable to me. Above and beyond all else, the law has to protect human life. On the other hand, these are kids, and most of us who have ever been in schoolyard fights, we weren't in those schoolyard fights to kill somebody. It doesn't sound like this was an especially egregious attack or anything like that. At least what I'm getting so far. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's facts, and there's always facts in these cases that don't come out in the press. But anyhow, they're going to prosecute this girl as an adult, and I really have issues with holding children, even teenagers, because teenagers are children, right, to adult levels of culpability. I do not support ideas of putting children in adult prisons. I've worked with children who have been sent to adult prison before, and these children are sexually molested. They don't get proper education. They're not getting the socialization they need. It is something that, in my mind, is actually, I feel like it's child abuse. I think it's a human rights violation to put a child in adult prison, and throughout most of the developed world, that doesn't happen. The United States is one of the countries in the world that hasn't signed on to the International Covenant of the Civil Rights of Children. I think I've got the name of that right. I may have the name wrong. But anyhow, there's a worldwide treaty that our country has refused to sign because we didn't want to give up the right to put children to death and to put them in adult prison. To me, that's appalling. I live in a state that puts more children in prison than every other state in the country combined. And I don't think we need to do that. I don't think the children in the state of Florida are any worse than the children any place else in the country. And we don't need to put our kids in prison. Yes, kids sometimes do terrible things. But how we respond is our choice as adults. And I don't think putting them in prison is the right thing to do. Now, when you get into a case like this where there's been a death, and we can argue as to whether or not it's an accidental death or not. I mean, there was a fight, and in an adult case, if you kill someone in a fight, that's pretty deliberate murder. You very likely were looking at a first-degree murder case. It sounds like they're charging her with involuntary manslaughter. Is what I think I read in the paper, which probably doesn't carry with it a life sentence. But you're also not talking 6 months in the county jail either. And how many of us have been, when we were kids, how many of us were in fights? I'll bet, especially the guys, I'll bet most of you were at one point or another. Think about if something tragic happened in your fight, you being, charged as an adult, and, even when your sentence is over, you carry the stigma of that criminal conviction. And that's a very serious crime. That's not like a petty theft thing on your record. That's a murder charge on your record. You never really recover from that. I don't know. I mean, again, a child is dead. Is the other child a murderer? The thing I read in the paper said the other child had a heart condition, and it was the heart condition that killed her, and that it was the stress of the fight. I don't know. These are difficult. These are really difficult, and I can see arguments on both sides of it, but I don't think this is the case where you have to charge this child as an adult. I think there are very few cases where children should be charged as an adult. We had a case over here. Was it King Brothers? I think it was the King Brothers over in Pensacola, where these two boys, they were like 11 and 12, and they killed their father. And what had happened was they were being manipulated by a guy who was sexually molesting them. It was a neighbor that was a predator. And from what I gathered, the King boys had a really difficult childhood. I think there were custody issues. The kids were, moving from family to family. I don't know. It's been about 10, 15 years since the King case came along. But anyhow, it was over in Pensacola, and these boys were convicted of first-degree murder. And the only sentence that the judge could impose on them was life without parole. And think about sending a 12-year-old kid to prison for life without any chance of parole. That to me is stunning. This is a kid who's subject to abuse from a neighbor that was the foundation for this. And for this act that happened. I just that the prosecutor could have thought that was the way to go with the case, to me, is stunning. I don't understand that. It's not how I see the world. The guy that abused them, I know he was convicted, and I think he's gone for good. The boys, in their case, they did something very unusual. The judge did some kind of a plea deal or something. I think the conviction stood, but then he somehow arranged it that they went to a juvenile facility, and I think they may be out now. I don't know, but that's very unusual. But I have personally seen. I had one client. She's 17 years old, and she went with a boyfriend. This is what the state said, to buy drugs. And her boyfriend shot and killed the guy, the drug dealer, and she wound up. She's got life without parole here in the state of Florida, and I just don't feel that that's just. I mean, she didn't shoot anybody. They used what's called the felony murder rule, which I'll talk about in another one of these blogs. But they gave her life without parole at 17, and I don't think we should do that. I actually think there should be very few life without parole sentences, and because I think redemption is too important. And I think that especially where a child's involved, that life without parole is not a just sentence. But anyhow, that's all I got for you today. I guess it's time for me to go to work. And look, it's a beautiful day in downtown Tallahassee. We got the Capitol next to us, and we're next to City Hall here. We get to park for free here on the bike. And anyhow, thank you for spending time with me, and please subscribe to the blog and to the YouTube channel, and leave us a comment. Let us know what your thoughts are on this issue. Bye bye.